I think it's no exaggeration to say that Toriyama has designed some of the most iconic villains in shonen and anime in general, such as Frieza or Vegeta. But Frieza especially, I mean, before I even knew what the term anime really meant, I had heard about him. He was just one of these characters that is so iconic that everyone has heard, regardless if they watched the show or not. But what is Toriyama's process to creating these characters? Is it complex or rather simple? Well, over the course of several decades, Toriyama has mentioned on occasion his process within multiple interviews, and in this video I've tried to compile all the various methods he has talked about from those sources just kind of into one video. And before we begin, like always on this channel, the featured artist for today is cmango_art. He has some great work and is only sitting at 124 followers at time of recording, so I'm sure he would appreciate the follow. Link to his account will be in the description, and if you would like a chance to feature in a video, tag me and use this hashtag. So now let's get to Toriyama's process. Now, first off, the main focus is simply coming up with the personality of the character. Then he'll come up with the design of just the face with some loose pencil sketches, and it seems if he lands on something he is happy with, then he'll move on to the clothing or the rest of the body. For example, with these sketches of Cell for the concept phase, you can see that there are multiple designs of just the head, and the same thing goes with many others like the concepts for Boo here. So it seems that the face is the highest priority before moving on to the details. It is then thereafter he decides on what colors he will use for that character, although there does seem to be some exceptions on occasion like Piccolo, where he seems to have the color palette planned right from the start. However, he does note that he doesn't settle on any specific design ahead of time because, in his own words, it takes all the fun out of it. And a minor note is that he tries to draw character types that he hasn't done much of before. And of course, there may be outside influences that inspire his design process, such as his sleeping cat Koge, which was the inspiration for Korin's design, and a similar case with Beerus, who is based off another cat he had, or Sentai Heroes, which were the inspiration for the Ginyu Force. Furthermore, the character designs in terms of complexity can depend on the project. Two contrasting examples of this can be seen in his manga work and video game work, such as in Dragon Quest or Chrono Trigger, where generally the designs can be quite detailed. However, in the case of an ongoing manga series, it is definitely a different approach. For example, Goku was given quite a plain and simple design as he wanted to more so focus on the story. And this usually went for other characters such as Shenlong, which he detailed specifically that he made him a mix between Eastern and a Western dragon, because dragons from the East were usually more detailed with fur, etc. Of course, the reasoning to these different approaches is that Toriyama would have to draw these characters over and over again, week after week, and the last thing you want is to repeatedly draw a detailed character, which he expressed his frustration with in the case of Cell, especially with all the multiple spots. Furthermore, Toriyama only had one assistant and did the majority of the work himself, so it makes absolute sense to refine and to simplify his characters as much as possible. This is also perhaps an explanation as to why both Vegeta and Goku's designs are gradually simplified throughout the series. For example, with Vegeta, you can notice that over time his armor gets more and more simpler to the point where he's pretty much just wearing the blue tights or whatever material he usually wore under his armor. Again, similar thing with Goku, over time his power pole and tail disappear, and later in the series the emblems are removed of his gi, as well as the two sashes that came from his belt. Of course, I'm not saying these are the sole reasons these elements were removed, especially in the case of the power pole. However, it definitely remains a possibility, and it was confirmed actually to be a large reason for Goku's tail disappearing. And finally, an integral aspect of design and what Toriyama was an expert in doing is giving characters recognizable silhouettes. He mentions himself that his characters, he always tried to give each one distinguishing characteristics to provide better readability, especially within fighting scenes, and as he used a lot of long panels. And as he said himself, it's no good if you can't tell who's who. And with that final piece of advice from Akira Toriyama, that will conclude this video. Thank you everyone for watching. I know it was a short one, but I basically explained the reason why the recent videos have been a lot shorter within an in-depth channel update I just put out the other week, so check that out. And this topic in general wasn't a really overly detailed one to discuss in the first place, but I hope you enjoyed it regardless and found some useful info that might perhaps help you in your process to creating characters, or if you were just a fan in general, I hope it served some interest, and I certainly enjoyed making it. I find it quite enjoyable just to go behind the scenes once in a while and look at the process, and it's great when a video doesn't take a week to make. And anyway, with that, I will see you in the next one.